Peter, hi there. It's
Hello.
Martin and Nick, and I think this is the first assessment you've done with us. So just to explain how we're going to go through it all, we're going to do condition assessment first. Then we're going to look, and part of that is look at the sales particulars and the 360 walkthrough and the Viewer viewing pictures, just to get a general sense of condition and see if we can spot any issues. Then we're going to get into capital growth, crime, and demographics. And then from there, it's over to Martin, and he's going to talk us through location and location risk, which would include stuff like flooding risk and mine shaft risk. Yes, as in subsidence, because I'm just going to make myself a bit smaller.
Yeah, but I want to say that it doesn't have any issues, so that's why I said it.
Oh, that's good.
Very low risk. They don't have any near gold mining issue, but I will show you on the map.
Okay, well, let's get into it. And what I'm going to do first is just go through the sales particulars. Now, the thing about this property is it's a solid wall construction. So it's probably built in the 1920s or 30s when some buildings weren't cavity wall, but these days nearly every building is cavity wall. But the issue with this is that it gives it a fairly low EPC score, and in fact a very low EPC score. Yeah. But this can be raised with renovation, and Martin will talk about that in a minute. But anyway, I like to have the EPC thing out because it just helps me understand a little bit more about what's going on. So, for example, it doesn't have much. I'll talk about that. Martin will talk about that, in fact.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. And big garden, fencing is in reasonably good condition. I assume this is the next door fence, and they've got nice fences. And then we got this fence here, which is dilapidated because this owner, I think, must have passed away. And being probate, you often have trouble with descendants saying, yeah, but we don't want to sell to investors. So just be aware. And if you do want to offer on this property, I'll need to find out what's going on with that, because around 20% of the time, descendants or beneficiaries of an estate tend to not want investors to buy property. Anyway, the property just needs a general redecoration, and the thing is, it's in fundamentally okay shape. My issue is it's solid wall construction. Beyond that, it's fine. It's got flat walls. I don't know if it's plaster and lath. I do know, based on what I can see here, it's had a really thorough renovation, probably about 30 years ago. And I think it's plasterboard as well. So a lot of older buildings had plaster and lath. So you get these strips of wood, and the plasterer has to try and make it smooth, and they never quite get it right, and it's just not quite so pleasant. But I think all the plaster and lath will have been stripped out in this. Sorry, I've got a cold, which is why I'm a bit croaky. And if we look at the floor plan, it's quite a sizable property. I think it's 111 meters, which is a good size.
101.
111. Did I say that?
And one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's anyway. It's
111.
Very large. Usually, 3-bedroom semi-detached is around 80 meters square.
Yeah, it's got all this extra footage, but it's not really very usable. And it's kind of they tried to just latch on a load of extra space, and in reality, in my opinion anyway, it would have been a nicer house had this middle wall been ripped out and you just have a big family area, or you extend out like that. And then if you imagine on the ground floor, you get rid of this extension, extend out like that, and then open this up and just have one big family room with a lounge in the front. That would be nice. But
and you can also have like one extra bedroom downstairs or study room, or it depends what you want to make.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, you will have to do renovation, so you can do that.
Well, but the question is it worth renovating? We'll get into that in a minute.
Okay. Not really for renting, not, because anyway, people will love to have a lot of rooms.
Well, we can see here that this person was a smoker. And the reason I know this is because this is nicotine. You can see it's kind of sticky and sticks on the wall. And so it all needs to be scrubbed down and repainted. Reasonable radiators. It's just a reasonable property. New carpets, obviously. And same story here, textured wallpaper. I don't know. I assume it doesn't suffer any dampness. And the reason I
No.
think that,
It doesn't have, because it's also the reviewer report said that it doesn't smell any, you don't feel any smell, or it doesn't have any damp issues.
Oh, good. Okay. So that's good. And as I say, nice enough place. Now, this is kind of interesting. I think this is original coving and walls, because more recent buildings just didn't have these dado rails. And by the way, they're for hanging paintings. So you have a little hook at the top, and you have a string or whatever, and you can put your painting there. That's why that was put there. Random fact of the day. And here we have this snug, they call it, but the reality is it's just a redundant room, because, like, what do you do with it? It's tiny, and what do you do with it? So I don't love this, honestly.
But
anyway.
they can use a storage room, maybe.
Yeah, the hallway looks reasonably pleasant. That works. And if we go back here to this side entrance, there we go. That's that side area. Oh, I see. So they've got this polycarbonate stuff. So this is just an extra room, I suppose, with storage. So you could put shelving out here, and you could then store various items and so on. But moving into that kitchen. Yeah, kitchen obviously needs modernizing and redoing. You know, we'll go into the calculations for the renovation in a minute, but let's go upstairs and see what's going on up there. So
I think it's around 10K renovation.
I think you're right, but it depends on how much you want to go with, how deep you want to go with it, because in theory you could just reconfigure the whole property. But anyway, all right.
I will make a new kitchen. I will make a nice new kitchen, and I will invest more in the kitchen and just change the carpets, make it all same color, new, and paint the whole.
Ooh, I don't like that. That's a big crack, and I wonder if there's an issue. That's quite a big crack, but it's got a hairline, but it's borderline more than hairline, if that makes sense. I think it's okay. One would have to look at the exterior to see what's going on there. And here we have the bathroom, obviously, and that's probably dangerous. You'd probably have to change these fittings and redo the electrics in here. And you've got that thing, which is the shower thing, and some taps, which were replaced fairly recently, I would say within the last 15 years. It's interesting, just, it's just very, these cupboards are original, I think. And there it is. All right. So we'll just go into the hallway. Hallway all looks fine. There it is. It's not especially spectacular, but there you go. And let's just have a quick look at the Google Maps for a minute, if that's going to work. I'll reload that. No, I won't reload it because we don't need it. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to get into is the condition. Sorry, the capital growth and crime and so on. Now, my map has just blipped out of me a little bit. Oh, there we go. Yay. All right, let's go and find the thing. So if you've seen any of my videos, you'll know that we use this very fancy system which aggregates a lot of data, and from there we're able to really do very detailed assessments of property. So this place is in Doncaster, a town I quite like, I will say.
Yeah.
And this is near the racecourse, it seems. So the question is, well, nice location, I guess. What's going on in the market?
It's on the site where is the point. It's not on the park.
Excuse me. Okay, so fortunately for me, I'm getting better. That cold is going. All right, very low crime. Very low crime. Classic kind of outer suburban low crime area. Loads of green space, which is good. That looks like a college or something. Demographics are good around here. This is just a classic kind of middle class, upper middle class suburb.
I
Where
think
nice middle class.
this
Yeah,
is like one of the best areas in Doncaster.
I think you're right. It looks like it. It
Not
looks
the
like one of
best,
the strongest.
but one of the best. Yes, like
Yeah,
from like 30s area, this is like in top 3.
yeah. It's a very strong area, and it's nice to see we've got huge grounds here, which is very nice. It's a real asset, actually. So just very nice altogether. So, okay, demographics are very good. Crime is very low. The next question is, what about the capital growth? Because obviously, capital growth is a hugely important factor in any purchase decision. And I'll make this a bit bigger so you can see the numbers if you're looking at this on a mobile phone. And the story with this, just to explain what we're looking at, I'll just show you here the thinking behind this. So property markets work in cycles, and this graph from Schroders The Bank shows house price affordability as a multiple of average income. Back in 1845, it was roughly 13 times an annual salary to build a house, so not many people had decent houses. And over the Victorian period, of course, it changed, and the multiple dropped to the First World War, where it was a multiple of 2. Anyway, you can see each red arrow represents a high point in a cycle. And there are 8 cycles, and arguably with World War I in the way, you could say there are 9 cycles, and we're now, I'll call it cycle number 10, just for the sake of round numbers. And that'll peak somewhere like here, and so that's that. So the fact is, cycles exist, and it's undeniable. So then the next question is, where are we in the cycle? Well, the crash is 2008, then it bottomed out 2012, and just kind of rambled on till about 2014, 2016, that kind of thing. Just kind of stalled a bit, and then everything kicked off and started to get into gear 2019 or thereabouts. But the thing about property cycles is they vary depending on area. So you can have a micro cycle in an area, and you can have, for example, London in the property crash was counter cycle to the rest of the country. And also some areas don't do well. So, for example, you hear about property prices going up everywhere. Well, actually, that's not true. They don't go up everywhere. And I'll just show you something here. This is Bradford. And we can see that in the last 3 years, if you adjust for inflation, and I always do that because it's very important with house prices to factor in inflation, because inflation or if you have, for example, if you bought a property for £114,000 in 2008, you had a certain amount of purchasing power, so you could buy a certain amount of stuff with that money. And therefore, when you're looking at property prices, I always think it's a good idea to adjust for inflation so that you go, well, if I sold it today, what would that be? So, for example, here, 2008, £127,000, 2021, £130,000. Nominally, you're up a little bit, but in reality, you're down 26% in purchasing power. So it's kind of a big concept to get your head around, but it's an important one. And whenever we assess property, we always do it on this basis, because from there, we can see what the trends are like and the characteristics of certain areas are like, and we can go from there. So let's just read the capital growth story for this area. And the data is from Land Registry, then it's processed by Office of National Statistics, and then I process it again, and here we are. So there's quite a lot of interestingly, there was quite a lot of churn in the local market. So 19 sales per 1,000 back in 2018, but it's all kind of died off a little bit. And that's interesting. I don't know if it really ties in with sales demand. If we look at this data here, this is postcode district data, which is quite current. So there's longer term data, which is about 6 months out of date at any one time. And then we have postcode district data, which is pretty current, like maybe 2 months out of date or something like that. And it's got a reasonable sales turnover. It's not especially hot. It'll get plenty of viewings and so on, but it's not the kind of market where people are just falling over each other to try and bid the price up. It's a little bit cool. It's like a warm market. A cold market would be where you have monthly. So the way this works, by the way, is that 13% of advertised properties are sold each month. And for DN2, what that means is to get an offer, it'll take about 3 weeks, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but in Manchester, you'll get an offer in a week because they tend to really, the market's so hot and so competitive. And for sales, for rental turnover, there's quite a lot of rental demand. It's quite strong for rents, but Martin will get into all that in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, now going back to the capital growth story on this, it's gone up 10% from 2018, and so in the run up to the last property peak, it grew by 51% in real terms, crashed by 28%, which is actually not too bad. A lot of areas crashed a lot heavier than that. And it's 12% down in real terms from the peak of the last market. But it's been, but then from 2013, it kind of rose, but it wasn't that hot. And it's only now that the market's being heated up. So what I think is going on, I think a lot of people are coming to Doncaster because it's an alternative to Manchester, basically. And I think it makes it a viable, I think Doncaster is a decent place to invest. I think the capital growth is there. It's never going to be as stellar as Manchester, but it makes for decent yields, as hopefully Martin will show us. So anyway, over to you, Martin.
Yeah, I will go now over the property. I'll share my screen. First, I will go with EPC. And I want to set that EPC is E, 101 meters square. It's made recently. I'm not happy with it. It's E.
No, it is very low. But I think it just needs renovation. It needs thermostatic controllers and all of that stuff.
But because it's old house, it needs loft insulation to be increased. It's internal wall insulation they're asking for. I think they don't have enough because the house is old and the same is detached, so they don't have enough.
This is a bit of an issue because obviously semi-detached means that it's got exposed exterior walls, like around three quarters of the building. It's an issue.
Yeah, and it needs hot water. Like it needs a lot of small things, and it needs to replace the boiler. So it can be made.
It could hit EPCD with a renovation, couldn't it? Without too much cost.
Yeah, it will, because you need to spend 10K. Basically, after, if you want to make it C, you need to do the external to put insulation. You need to make
that's not really viable.
Or solar water.
Yeah.
Again,
it's not really viable, but you can get it up to EPCD. The question is whether you're concerned about EPC, the government mandating EPC-C on rental property. And there's been a consultation document, I've written about it, and I don't think it's a real threat. And I think now that we're having real financial hardship, if the government wants to destroy the rental market, then all they have to do is mandate EPC-C, and landlords will sell their properties and they will go into the hands of owner-occupiers, and renters will be in trouble. So I think as long as you are confident you can get EPC-D on this, then it should be fine.
It doesn't have sale history, and the floor map plot map, the property is this one. It's really large, as you can see.
That's a nice big plot, isn't it?
Yeah. So here is the property that I will speak about first.
Do many of the other properties have extensions?
Yeah, I will back. First, this is central Doncaster. It's really close.
Oh wow, that is close, isn't it?
Yeah, and there is the train station. It's not really far away. You have bus on the main road. You have like you can see hockey club. You have like a small market. You have here like a lot of college. So it will attract a lot of people. Maybe even for students because you have one bedroom downstairs. You have markets are not really far away. Also, central is not really far away. So the location is like one of the best in Doncaster, I can say.
Yeah.
I really like this. So that's why the property is a little bit more expensive than compared to other. And yes,
yeah. Well, I suppose with this property, you got this issue with the not great extension, but
yeah,
overall, it's interesting that next door have done the same. They've all done. No, right. So it's just the way they were built. Okay, fine.
Yeah, they are not really nice built, but it's okay. And you can see this house. Look how huge they make extension.
Oh, goodness me.
So that means like the people love to live here. Like all the houses have extension. So this area is like the best in Doncaster, I can say. Yeah. So basically, the location is really, really nice. It's one of the best in Doncaster, as I said. And for the mining issue, as you can see, the property is here. They don't have any mining issue around, so it's like free. And here you have like a flood risk is very, very low risk.
Are you able to show the map? Because I always find the map is more helpful.
Yeah, we just want to set like you can see there is nothing.
If you have there, nothing.
But there's nothing like.
That would be near the River Don, but
yeah,
yes.
This is fine. Like this is like based on that everything is good. The only thing I will give the score. I will speak about the property. I just want to give the comparables, and I think the asking price is okay. The rent also is okay. Just see maximum 3, semi-attached 19. If I go in US listed, I also mean basically we use we use Rightmove Plus. All the real estate agent in UK use. So basically you can see everything also for rent. You can make reports and so on.
Yeah, one of our shareholders is Charles Louis Holmes, and they pay about 24,000. How much do they pay for Rightmove a year?
20,000 around.
It's 20,000. Yeah, it's a lot of. Anyway, the point is we get access to their system, so we can do all this comparables analysis, which is really quite cool.
Yeah.
Benefit of.
And this is a little bit newer, and you can see that it's 20,000 asking price.
Is that the same like solid brick wall? Can you just have a quick look at that?
It's better built.
Is that cavity or solid?
I think this property is much better built.
Yeah, same kind of. So I just don't know whether it's the same.
No,
period,
I think this is no, it's not same period. I think this is new. I want to try to. Yeah, and I want to try. Yes, you can see this also look like old. No, this also old one, and you can see like but the property. This is like have better floor plan than. I mean,
and it's got a loft room.
Yeah,
and it's got a loft room.
But doesn't matter. This have a lot of extension. Is much larger than what we have. So you can see a lot of properties asking price to 200. Like this is similar type of property. As you can see, it's 160. I think it's same year built.
But that's a cavity build.
Yeah, and it's also similar type, but our property have a little bit more. Yeah, this they use as study room, as you can see. But the property is really large. It will rent really easy. The only thing what I don't like about this property is the year of build.
So what kind of prices are we looking at? So how much do you think this thing is worth?
Not more than 180.
Yeah, Okay. We need to do calculations as well, or I want to do some calculations on renovation.
So on the rent, I just want to add for the rent, it will rent easy and it will rent 875.
Right.
Or 895. But let's say 875. Let's beat because the Doncaster market for rent is not really that hot as much. So let's go with 875.
And it needs a complete redecoration, doesn't it?
Yeah, need new kitchen and new bath, I think.
Yeah.
Kitchen you can add like a better quality on the bath because it.
Okay, I'll just share my screen.
Yeah.
There we go. Right. Okay, we have this calculator which uses lots of variables. You can see here.
And the asking price 170.
And it's just a ready reckoner, but it helps us just work out, you know, how average quality, medium. It's a medium kitchen and bathroom. Yes, probably basic. And I'll go for 1. And so it's.
Yeah, I think it had 1.
Yeah, so we're talking circa 13, but I would say you're going to need to spend another couple of £1,000 on miscellaneous things, like, for example, on the extension.
And it need boiler, new boiler.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I think it will cost around 15.
Yeah. So I don't have a boiler here, but
boiler is around 2,000. So.
Yeah. All right. I'll just let me do something here. I'm just going to fiddle the numbers a bit. We'll say 2,000. I'm going to just say it's got 2 bathrooms and it's 15 grand. I think it is about 15,000, but we need to get these calculations just to work out the final numbers. And it's DN2 6BY. And how much is the ask? 170. Okay, let's just see what the numbers say. And it's suggesting that at the moment, it'll be about 5.6% yield after renovation costs, which I think is about right. And depending on where you want to go with yield, yeah, so 5 points. So really you're talking about not offering much more than 170 based on these calculations. But this is just a ready reckoner. Martin, I'm going to go back to you. What's your opinion?
Maybe we can go to the. I think in Doncaster we can find the location is really nice. You have the best capital growth in the area, but let's go to final scores. Like I think.
Okay, let's do that.
To be honest, when I analyze this property more deep, I'm not like.
All right. Well, let's go for condition. So it's in about 2 point. It's not in perilous condition. It just needs a good renovation. So 3 for condition. Location.
Perfect.
What are you going to give it?
4.5.
And area. It's a very good area.
4.5 or 4.2 maybe. Yeah, something like this.
And for crime, it's very good. It's above a 4. It's very low. Demographic, it's excellent. And capital growth, not great. I mean, it's not stellar. It's okay.
Yeah, but it's actually okay. It's the best in Doncaster.
Yeah. So therefore, I'm going to give it a 3.25 on growth. I think it's all right. I don't, it's not negative. It's positive growth, and I think it'll carry on growing. I just don't think it's going to be a capital growth monster, as it were. For resaleability and so on, yes, of course, it's good, and I'm going to give that a 3.7. Well, yeah, the issue is a solid brick construction, oddly enough. Like, all right, and on price, well, it's difficult to judge. It all depends on what you get for it. And at the moment, I would say...
I think this property is more if you want to live than to buy as investor property. That's my...
Yeah, I agree with that, and that's evidenced by all the extensions on properties and things like that nearby. Price, I'm just going to give it a 3.5. It's all right. It's not a particularly important metric. Rent, will it do well on rent?
It will rent fast. It will rent easy. because it's like one of the best.
4 on rent. And for yield?
It's bad. For Doncaster, if the property is less than 6, it's like...
Okay, so what are we going to give that? 3.25?
Maybe even 2.7. So let's give it 3.
Okay. All right, what are the scores? Ooh, okay, 3.57. Now the average is 3.89, obviously, and if we get a score above 4, we're really ecstatic, like it's a standout property. This is not, it's okay. It's not standout strong.
To be honest, just what is make me to like, because of make me go, because it's more like a property to live than to invest, but it will have the best capital growth maybe in Doncaster, so that's good. The rent will not be perfect, the yield, but anyway, you have large property. Usually when you have large property and you cannot expect big yield because it's not
it's not by its nature, it's not optimal for yield. I think it's
if it was like 80 meters square, because basically you can rent like £25 more just because it's 100 meters square, it's not 80. So it's not increasing the rent like dramatically. And if the property was smaller, it will be better for renting because it will be similar rent, but the price then will be 140, 150, and then the yield will be better. So that's my opinion about this property. Like, it's nice, not the best one, but not bad. But if you want to buy like a lot of properties, good to have it because it will have, if you want, especially if you want to buy more properties in Doncaster, this will be like a good start. Because after that you can find some property who will have better yield, like 7, because in Doncaster you can find like 120, 130 price around, or maybe 100. You can buy 2 properties like this who will have around 7 yield, so it will cover the yield in this one.
And I think if you're fairly sensible about where you buy, then you can find those little patches where there is growth and you got a cheaper property. So there it is. As you see, we're not always positive about every property. We just we review it, we score it, and we tell you like it is. We tell the truth about it. And anyway, let us know what you want to do. In any event, if you do want to offer, I wouldn't be surprised if the sellers go, well, we don't like investors, but anyway, whatever, we'll find out. If you want to offer, I'll call the agent and just get more information. All right.
My suggestion for offer, just I forget to add, it's around 170 to 175. I will not pay more because it's just Doncaster and the property is old. If you want to offer, but I think if you offer lower than the asking price, they will not accept you. So I think you need to be at least 2K above asking, because Doncaster.
I think you could do better. I think for that kind of money, you could buy a more modern property, which will have fewer issues, that will give a better yield. And but the thing is, Peter, as you know, when you do a viewing, we invoice you for the viewer thing, but we offset all of that against commission in the end. So the viewings don't cost you anything as such. I mean, they do up front, but the reason we do that is because we want to know you care enough to pay the invoice and get on with it. But overall, the viewings don't cost you anything. And so there it is. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.